AirPods Max 2, AirPods Pro 3. Which one is better? No, really. About 3 years ago, I compared the original AirPods Max against the AirPods Pro 2. Some people understood why I did that. Some people didn't, and these were some of the comments that I received. You sound out of your mind the minute you give sound quality to the AirPods Pro 2 over the AirPods Max. It is nonsense. Sound of AirPods Max is much, much better, so there is the worst comparison in the world. I think that what they mean is this is just the worst video ever. I have both, and the AirPods Max have way better sound quality and noise cancelling. I don't know why the reviewer says otherwise. I think it's an apple to apple oranges comparison. So some people got it, some people didn't. However, when I reviewed the AirPods Max 2 fairly recently, at the end of that video I said, let me know which headphones you want me to compare these against. We've had the XM6, we've had the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra 2s, both of which are on the channel now in terms of those comparisons. However, another common request was to compare the AirPods Max 2, you guessed it, against the AirPods Pro 3. People want to know which one's better, even though they are vastly different products with massively different price tags. I don't make the rules, do not shoot the messenger, etc. I'm just responding to my audience, basically. So, which one is better, these or these? Let's just get into it. If you've got cameras outside your home, but you're getting constant false alerts every time a car drives past or a bird lands on your fence, then Tapo C6 kit is definitely worth a look. It shoots in 4K, so you're actually capturing things like faces and number plates clearly, not just blurry shapes in the dark. The AI detection is smart enough to tell the difference between a person, a vehicle, or a pet, so when you do get an alert, you know it's actually worth looking at. It's solar powered too, so there's no messing around with cables or worrying about where your power points are, plus no subscription is needed. The only thing you need to do is drop in a micro SD card and you're ready to start recording. And best of all, it works just as well at night. The color night vision and infrared means there's no more grainy black and white images. Everything is clear no matter the time of day. There's a link in the description and a discount code if you want to go and check it out. Right, specs and pricing. This is where immediately this comparison starts to fall apart because I've put together this table here of all the differences and similarities. We'll put it on the screen now so you can screenshot it and do what you like with it. But it does illustrate that these are two very different things. In fact, let me get them out because it would make more sense, wouldn't it? Over-ear headphones, and by the way, this is just an ESR case, not sponsored by ESR, but it's very handy. Okay. Earbuds, over-ear headphones. They both have Bluetooth 5.3, fantastic. They both have the H2 chip, which means they have all of the clever stuff like conversation awareness, voice isolation, adaptive EQ, the shaky head and noddy head thing to accept and deny telephone calls and that sort of stuff. The AirPods Pro 3 have a heart rate sensor. The AirPods Max 2 don't. Battery-wise, these have 20 hours. These have 24 hours in total with the case. Let's talk pricing. Oh dear, this is again where if you thought this was a ridiculous comparison to begin with, it gets even more ridiculous now because the AirPods Pro 3 in the UK are 219 quid. The AirPods Max 2 are 500 quid. 500 quid. 219 quid, just a colossal gap. And it was the same back in 3 years ago, although it was slightly bigger. I think in the UK, that gap has narrowed slightly. In the US, it's still about $300 difference. It's so much money, which begs the question, doesn't it? Why are you still watching this video? Why am I still making it? And more importantly, why are people asking if they should go for these or these? Well, let's look at the sound. What else? The noise cancelling, the mic performance with my famous mic test, the convenience factor, and then give you some kind of verdict. Okay, starting with the sound, my last verdict on this was that the AirPods Pro 2 had better audio than the AirPods Max, which did not go down very well with quite a big selection of the audience. I said that the AirPods Pro 2 were more punchy, lively, exciting versus a hollow, over-EQ'd AirPods Max. Okay. Things have changed. So the AirPods Max 2 are much better than the previous generation. So they have a new amp, they have a new they have a redesigned DSP, and they have the H2 chip, H. People don't like the way that I say H or H. I don't care. They have all that stuff, and combined, it means they sound a lot better than the previous generation. So they have better mid-range, they have better instrument separation, they have much better and tighter controlled bass. They are fantastic. The AirPods Pro 3, I know they've not been that popular with everyone in terms of the audio, but I have not had a problem with them at all. I think they sound fantastic. So my verdict is that they both sound very, very good in their respective sector. So these are earbuds, these are over-ear headphones, and I think given it's either tractors or people beeping their horn. Why? And particularly today, why? I think given where these both sit in their respective fields and for the price, I think they sound fantastic. And when you A/B the two, they're relatively similar sounding, actually. They're, obviously, because they're made by the same company, but they do sound relatively similar. The AirPods Max 2 are a bit bigger, possibly. They have a bit of a bigger, wider soundstage, but as with any headphone or earbud comparison, that is me A/B testing. It's me doing this. No one does that apart from annoying YouTubers like myself. So sound, they're both very, very good. The one big difference is that you can plug a USB-C cable into these and have lossless audio. You can't do that with the AirPods Max 2, obviously because you can't plug them in. Next up we have noise cancelling, and last time I said that the AirPods Max edged it over the AirPods Pro 2 because they dealt with wind and noisy streets and aeroplane noise better than the earbuds, which makes sense because they're bigger, it's a physics thing, I think. However, that gap it's closed, it's almost gone. If I put the AirPods the AirPods Pro 3 in my ears, every time I use these, I've been using them for months now, I'm still amazed by how good the noise cancelling is and how much better it is than any other noise cancelling earbud on the market. It's incredible. However, if I go from these to these, and again turn on noise cancelling, there's very little difference. The AirPods Max 2 possibly go slightly quieter and are slightly more refined and slightly less artificial in terms of the noise cancelling. But it's fine margins, and again, you have to A/B test the two to work that out. I think if I wore these for an hour and then had a 10-minute break and then came back and put these in my ears, I don't think I'd notice a difference, which says everything you need to know about how good both of these are in terms of noise cancelling. The same thing goes with transparency mode. That's when you let the outside world in and you can hear your own voice. Somehow, Apple has cornered the market with this for both earbuds and for over-ear headphones. Nothing comes close, really, certainly not in the earbud game. And they both sound as good as each other. I can hear myself now, and if I put these in and turn on the transparency like that, it sounds identical. It's almost as though you have nothing over or in your ears. It's incredible. So noise cancelling and transparency, they are as good as each other. They genuinely are. However, I do need to test the mic, which means heading outside for my famous mic test. Right, let's start with the AirPods Pro 3. Walking down a street with some traffic going past, a bit of wind hitting my face and hitting the earbuds themselves. Once again, transparency mode. Incredible. But it's the mic we're interested in. So is this mic better than the AirPods Max 2 mic? Let's find out. So over to the AirPods Max 2. I know, having tested these against the Sony XM6 and the Bose QC Ultra 2s, that the mics in these headphones are just in a league of their own, in my opinion. But the big question for this video is, are the mics in these headphones better, the same, or worse than the mics in the AirPods Pro 3? Get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think. Again, transparency mode, amazing. Anyway, back to me in the studio. Convenience. Last time I said that the AirPods Pro 2 comprehensively beat the AirPods Max because the AirPods Max had no proper case, they had lightning, you couldn't power them off because they didn't have a power button, there was a battery drain problem back then as well, there was no wireless charging, and there was no H2 chip. Okay, so where have we got to over the last few years? We do have USB-C charging now on the AirPods Max 2, that's good. We do have the H2 chip, which is fantastic. There's no wireless charging still, although there aren't many over-ear headphones that have wireless charging, to be fair. In fact, there's barely any at all. There's no button to turn them off still. However, I've not had any issues with the battery over the last, well, since the USB-C version. And to be fair, I think after I'd made that comparison between the original AirPods Max and the AirPods Pro 2, Apple did fix whatever that battery drain thing is. The other thing that hasn't changed and relates to battery drain and all that sort of stuff is the smart case. So you still don't get what I would call a proper headphone case for the AirPods Max 2. You get this, which once I pop them into there, it puts them into a low power state, so you don't need that power button. That isn't an issue anymore. The other things aren't an issue anymore, like I say, and wireless charging just isn't a thing really with over-ear headphones. The one thing that I have learned over the last couple of years is that quite a lot of people do not use headphone cases. They just chuck their headphones into their bag and they don't worry about it. So I think with hindsight, I was a little bit wrong about this slip case. I still don't prefer it over normal headphone cases. I'd much rather have a proper headphone case, but Apple does need to go for the wider section of the market that does a certain thing. And if most people just chuck their headphones into their bag, then this gives you some protection for that, doesn't it? That's the argument, and it doesn't take up much space at all. The case for the AirPods Pro 2, which is in here, obviously it's just being protected with this ESR thing, is still better than that, but then that's not really it's not a fair comparison, is it? Because look at the size of these two things. These are going to be more convenient. So I don't really understand what I was talking about back then, apart from those other things like the USB-C versus Lightning thing. That was all very legitimate in terms of comparison, but the convenience factor, by default and just by physics, these are better than these. And this brings me to my inevitable conclusion. What have we learned today? We have learned something. I know some of you think we've learned nothing at all, but I think we've discovered that in 3 years, the gap between the over-ear headphones that Apple offers and the in-ears that they offer has completely changed. It's gone. The gap isn't there anymore. So the question isn't which one is better, it's which one is for you. Are you a headphone person or are you an earbud person? And the good news is whichever one you go for, you're not sacrificing anything because they're just as good in terms of convenience, audio, noise cancelling, transparency mode. There's parity, which we didn't have before. I think that's a conclusion. Get involved in the comments, guys. I'm sure you've got lots to say about this. I'll get involved as well. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, you know what to do.